Hello. This week's podcast is entitled Never Dim Your Light for the Sake of Others. Episode 127. Introduction. Sometimes, when we are in our joy, creativity, or passion, it can spark an unexpected reaction in other people. We feel that what we are expressing is good and positive, which it is. Yet another person may react as though we have done something wrong, or may even be a little hostile for no obvious reason. All Sussex supporters who were around in the Royal Arena from 2016 will never forget the treatment of Meghan by members of the institution, their friends in media and government, and key people in strategic positions who all did the bidding of this powerful family. All want an invisible arrangement, but those of us who have ancestral information of similar treatment and its modern-day versions in recent centuries, we recognise abuse when we see it. All of those in the establishment know it too, but most of them cannot even admit to themselves, never mind to anyone else. It's clear that those who like to clean up the aisle for the slave owners of the plantation behind gilded gates do so because they all have a vested interest in the monarchy continuing, not least because it enables them to continue with their current lifestyle. The lifestyle may enable them to access corridors of power that they would otherwise do, or it ensures that they will always be employed somewhere. An army of industries have been formed and evolved over many years, to the point it pays to pick the side that puts food on your table, in their eyes anyway. Equally, many of those people who believe that they were important to the royal family were clearly on the lowest rung of the societal ladder, and it was only a matter of time when they would become collateral or fodder for those who were baying for blood. It seems that they were the last ones to realise that if you bully and abuse the most profitable attraction and income generator from within that royal space, at some point the truth that all royalists like to ignore is that those in the Left Behind Club do not carry anywhere near the same weight of popularity or value. One by one, they are beginning to realise that being first or high in the line of succession does not mean that you are liked, or more importantly, definitely does not mean that any of them are competent. It was an absolute certainty that the royal family would become shambolic when left to their own devices post-Queen Elizabeth. A description I have used in many publications is that they are like crabs in a bucket. But at the same time, there is still this deep-seated belief that they can pull strings, use their job, inverted commas, titles, and that no action will be taken against them because they are above the law. It's apparent to sensible people that the resources and effort put into the hate-for-hire business model would come back to the hosts to serve a dose of reality. Karma never misses, and with the help of a medical facts list, if you live by hating others every moment of your existence, there comes a time when that hate eats away from the inside, and soon those in proximity to these evil people start to see them looking worse for wear and can't understand why, particularly when age is not one of the causes. The rest of us know that the hatred eventually always eats its hosts. The Lord of the Flies' existence that they have been living is coming home to roost. The boomerangs of hate and jealousy and envy are all returning to the host, and internally, the hate bile is doing its own damage, and ultimately, the telltale signs start to show on the outside of the body. All the guilty ones who made life uncomfortable for Harry and Meghan whilst they were in the UK, and for the last 4 years, abuse in a different form, coercive control, has been applied daily in its many forms whilst they live on another continent. Some of you need to brush up on international law. All of you, publicly and away from the public means, told Meghan to dim her light, stay out of view inside Frogmore Cottage, and let the seniors of the family, who are high in the line of succession, stand in the spotlight. The Sussexes were told in a variety of public settings and applications that it was against protocol to shine brighter than the monarch and the heir. It was a protocol, like all the others directed at Harry and Meghan, that never applied to anyone else in the family. It only applied to the only person of colour who joined that family, and her husband, who loved her dearly. The abuse and the control is well documented, and one day will be discussed in many areas of research and learning and on international stages. The aim was to break one or both and to become compliable. That was never going to happen, and if all those who thought it would happen had paid attention to the jewel in the royal crown that they had in their midst, they would have behaved better. Instead, that golden couple removed themselves from toxicity and set about earning their own money and cut the cord of taxpayer funding. Far from becoming destitute, the Sussexes are well respected by people that matter and are building a fabulous legacy for their children. The family is affluent and their business projects are thriving. The jealousy and envy and bitterness is evident for all the world to see. It does not paint any of the monarchy and their flunkies in the media in a good light. Let us briefly look at what was going, and still is going on, in the minds of those eaten up with these emotions about two people who chose to walk away from abuse and to become independently financed for the rest of their days. Left all those with fragile egos to stand in the spotlight they craved, and to do whatever they want to do in that glare, and see how it works out or not. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan have a growing portfolio of projects doing extremely well, and they all follow a business framework, as opposed to random thoughts that enter into the plan of make-believe activity just to fill a few newspaper pages, and then to keep spinning it for years about the progress of said initiatives. Let us move out of the Skull Island atmosphere and step into the light with fellow competent and successful people with their self-made earnings. You will notice that there is a growing army of people who have benefited from philanthropic endeavours, and now they are all helping others in one way or another. No one in the Sussex camp or their global support network is going to dim their lights for anyone. We are going to shine brighter with each passing day. That is the natural order of things. When things don't go as planned, we all regroup, examine, and plan the way to build on lessons learned, and we go on to bigger and better things. We are doing really great, and we are shining like beacons around the globe. Let us look at the reasons that lie behind the bitterness and the obvious envy and jealousy running around the space where the brain should be functioning. We also ensure that we give you tools to help those who may be experiencing such behaviour from others, and give you tips on how you can respond. Jealousy and envy. These thoughts and results emanate from research studies and findings. All sources are listed at the end of the article. It can be hard not to feel deflated or squashed by this, and as sensitive souls, we may contract and withdraw and stop shining our light. However, once you understand why this happens, there is no need to feel this way. What has usually happened is that you have expressed yourself in a way that the other person is not comfortable with themselves. For example, if a person is uncomfortable with feeling sadness and crying, they will probably try to stop you crying if you do so, rather than just sit quietly and be with your sadness. It can feel very uncomfortable and sometimes scary to witness another person expressing an emotion that we cannot. This can happen with many emotions: anger, joy, sadness, sensuality, vulnerability, playfulness. We all have these tender spots. So firstly, understand that it is not about you. It is about their programming, which has probably come from an unhappy or traumatic experience in their past. If they are being hostile or harmful, of course, it makes sense to remove yourself from the line of fire. But, I repeat, you have done nothing wrong. Do not dim your light, especially as the next person that you meet may well feel liberated and inspired by it. And remember the dolphin motto: shine your light and take care of yourself while being good to others. An article published by Summer Kroner, published in September the 1st, 2014. Full article and research papers in the reference source list. Dimming your light? I think not. In the link below is a very interesting article written by Visa Agovia. Excuse if I pronounce that incorrectly, my apologies. In medium.com on April the 3rd, 2017. This is just a short extract. The full article is in the reference source list. We've realised that we can confidently speak about ourselves, our beliefs, our accomplishments, and our purpose. And it is okay. Quite frankly, we've learned that you need to, especially at work, in business, or other performance-related environments. Be it in the workplace, at home, with family and loved ones, there is usually a place for letting people know what you do, who you are, and what you are about for various reasons. 1. You rob others of the benefits of knowing your story when you don't. 2. Your story, journey, or accomplishments can bring encouragement to others. 3. Your skills may be just what the next person needs. Your gift or gifts will make room for you. How else can it if people do not know what you are able to offer? 4. You learn from others. If people know what you are and what you do, they can help you by sending useful information, articles, or opportunities. 5. It builds you up, impacts your growth and development. 6. You lose out on gaining a sponsor, mentor, champion, supporter, potential business partner, or client. Many times we hear talks about not needing to dim other people's light to cause yours to shine brighter. We never realise the reverse could be the case. Never feel the need to dim your light to make others shine. Your shine does not stop others from shining. It only adds to how brightly our collective lights shine. Be confident in who you are and what you have become and still becoming. It is part of your beautiful story, and the best stories are the ones shared with others. Remember, it is okay to shine. There is so much room for everyone. It is no fun shining alone, and even worse, not shining at all. You are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your good deeds shine out for all to see, so that everyone will praise your Heavenly Father. Hate, jealousy, and low self-esteem. Andrea Darcy notes that if you are constantly jealous in relationships, the roots of jealousy will lie in how you feel about yourself. This means that jealousy can particularly be a problem if we suffer low self-esteem. Low self-esteem can lead to feelings of inadequacy and the belief that others are more desirable or successful than you. This self-doubt and suspicion can fuel feelings of jealousy when you perceive others as a threat. For example, if someone doesn't feel deserving of love and affection, they may be constantly worried that their partner will find someone better. Common characteristics of people with low self-esteem include engaging in negative self-talk, second-guessing their decisions and actions, doubting their abilities and feeling unsure of themselves, avoiding social situations, struggling to initiate and maintain relationships, believing they are not deserving of love or attention, being highly sensitive to criticism, being jealous of their partner's success or accomplishments, seeking external validation. Self-hatred. Self-hatred encompasses continual feelings of inadequacy, guilt, and low self-esteem. People may constantly compare themselves to others, perceive only the negative and ignore the positive, and believe that they will never be good enough. But every single person has worth and value and the ability to cultivate self-love. What causes self-hatred? Feelings of self-loathing are deeply painful, but exploring those emotions is the first step towards healing. If you're struggling with hateful thoughts, reflect on what sparked them. Did you make a mistake at work? Did a recent dinner with a friend lead you to feel envious? Identifying these triggers can allow you to diffuse them the next time they arise. Beyond immediate triggers, the roots of self-hatred can often be traced to environmental circumstances, such as hypercritical parenting or personality traits such as perfectionism. Once feelings of worthlessness take hold, they can be difficult to release. The stories that form around early experiences can become deeply entrenched. But there are still many ways for people to confront self-criticism and develop a strong sense of self. Why do I hate myself? The pain of self-hatred can be due to different reasons. Abusive parenting or childhood trauma can prevent the development of self-esteem. Perfectionism can lead people to believe that they'll never be good enough, and dissatisfaction with a particular trait, such as intelligence or appearance, can lead to doubt and inadequacy. A grave error, such as betrayal or crime, can also fuel self-loathing. The phrase, "I hate myself," what does that mean? People who hate themselves assign disproportionate weight to their faults and overlook their strengths. This can be fueled by a time in which they developed a harmful narrative about themselves. That can be difficult to invalidate, but treating others with kindness, which will hopefully lead to treating oneself with kindness, is one place to start. Do other people hate me as much as I hate myself? I hate my life. What should I do? How to develop self-worth. Cultivating self-esteem is the antidote to self-loathing. Learning how to silence one's inner critic can limit the negative thoughts that come to mind and the comparisons made to others. Practicing self-compassion and learning how to forgive others and oneself for past mistakes, whether serious or trivial, are key approaches as well. Seeking support from a loved one or mental health professional is also an important part of the process. How do I stop hating myself? People may condemn themselves to years of self-loathing, especially after committing a terrible act. Self-forgiveness offers a path to release that burden. This process can begin by forgiving others and progress to recognizing that you too are more than your behaviour and that you can learn to love yourself. How to build self-esteem? You need to become aware of a problem to change it. So begin by noticing critical self-talk and challenge those thoughts. Explore the narrative you have about yourself and why it might be flawed. Avoiding comparing yourself to others and practicing forgiveness can also help cultivate self-esteem. Is jealousy a sign of insecurity? Jealousy can be a sign of insecurity. Jealousy is a fear of losing something you already have, like a relationship or a friendship. People who deal with jealousy may often feel threatened by other people. You may also feel that you are in competition with others, even if you are not. Jealousy can stem from feelings of insecurity, especially if you have an insecure attachment style. One 2017 study found that attachment styles and jealousy are closely related. According to this same study, insecurity and jealousy may also be associated with low self-esteem and neuroticism, hostility, rigidity, social anxiety. While jealousy can be a sign of insecurity, this isn't always the case. A variety of situations can also cause insecurity. For example, criticism can lead to feelings of insecurity or inadequacy for some people. Common signs of insecurity can include feelings of inadequacy, jealousy, uncertainty, anxiety within relationships, low self-esteem, feeling unworthy, lack of confidence, striving for perfection. Why feeling insecure might lead to jealousy. Before I just go through the notes under this heading, I don't know if you've thought of it yet, as I've gone through some of those bullet points of what constitutes low self-esteem, insecurity, all those things. And when I was making the notes from various research papers, a certain family came to mind. And then you look at examples of how they reacted, behaved towards Harry and Meghan, particularly Meghan, and then come back and read these bullet points again. And for me, there were enough of them on there that made it crystal clear. But that's just my personal opinion. I'm not a professional in terms of the people who've done this research and come up with these sort of general findings, but it's certainly added weight to views I already had about a number of fragile egos in that setup. Right, let's get back to notes. Why feeling insecure might lead to jealousy. If you don't feel confident in yourself or your relationships, this can lead to jealousy. People with insecure or anxious attachment styles may also experience jealousy in their relationships. For example, you might view other people as a threat to your relationship or worry excessively about your partner's feelings for you. Insecurity can also come from lack of communication or constant criticism from your partner in a relationship. Jealousy versus envy. Usually, jealousy relates to people, while envy is often about things. Jealousy can be perceiving another person as a threat to you or your relationships. With envy, a person might wish they had something someone else has. For example, you could become jealous if your mother confides in your sister instead of you. But you might become envious that your best friend has a nicer house than you. Jealousy and envy can become destructive if you don't deal with the root of where they come from. Schadenfreude. There are two basic types of envy or jealousy. One is being unhappy with another's success, whether it is a friend or a competitor. The other is silently rejoicing when someone you are envious of suffers a loss. The term for this second scenario is schadenfreude. Both elicit feelings of guilt because we know we shouldn't feel this way. But when you try not to feel a certain way, it becomes worse. It's even more problematic if you feel the person you have envied didn't originally deserve his or her success. In light of the current neuroscience research, we now understand the impact of sustained frustration on your body's chemistry and the resulting physical symptoms. Solzhenitsyn succinctly points out that good health is the essence of living a good life. Yet when we spend our energies comparing ourselves to others, we are frequently frustrated. This chronic anger, with the attendant elevated levels of stress hormones, wreaks havoc with every organ in your body, and you will eventually become sick. Jealousy and pain. Again, from another of these reference sources, and the full article is listed. I've had as much of a challenge with self-esteem and jealousy as anyone. I come from a tough household, and it seemed as if everyone had a life that I wanted. I was envious of friends' accomplishments, adventures, families, and the list went on. What is now obvious in retrospect was that my mother was insanely jealous, and our family situation was never good enough. She would become unhappy to the point that our whole family would move to another town to start over. The cycle would begin again, and she would complain about anything and everything. By the time I was 18 years old, we had lived in 11 different houses. After I refused to move from my high school area in Napa Valley, they kept on moving. It's clear where I learnt this pattern of behaviour. When I ended up in chronic pain, it all became much more intense. It seemed everyone had something I wanted. The first thing I was envious of was not being in pain. Then it seemed that everyone had a better family life than I did. I became more and more socially isolated, and I withdrew even more. Although I wanted to re-engage with friends, my fear of rejection became almost a phobia. Holidays were particularly unpleasant. It seemed like every person in the world was having a better time than I was. Of all the terrible experiences I endured, the loneliness was crushing. It is one of the reasons I have described the world of chronic pain as the abyss. Self-destruction. Additionally, anger is destructive, including self-destructive. One of the ways this plays out is disregarding your own health. All of us have a choice of how we choose to treat our bodies. Chronic frustration is possibly the main reason why you wouldn't choose to feel physically great. It's hard to really enjoy life if you don't feel vigorous and energized. Ongoing self-neglect is a form of slow suicide. You're angry and take it out on yourself. We all have some degree of self-destructive behaviour, and many of us have a lot. So the emotions that you might be feeling from another's success are sucking you dry. you now have less of a chance of being successful, whatever that might mean. Jealousy and frustration aren't solving much. Moving forward, I have undergone many phases of healing. However, I have never forgotten the intensity of the loneliness and envy. It was the accidental discovery of the expressive writing exercises that halted the downward descent, and it is still the one necessary starting point of the healing process. One exercise I frequently discussed with my patients is similar to the one I presented above. This refers to a section that I haven't the time to go through in the podcast, but the details and the diagrams are in the article. I asked them to visualize someone they strongly disliked. They had usually worked with me long enough to quickly understand where I was going. I pointed out that they knew being judgmental was problematic, and then I asked them what happens when they try to not be judgmental. Of course, you will become more judgmental with the paradoxical nature of thought suppression. So whether you are judgmental or not judgmental, your nervous system remains fired up. What can you do? One option is writing down your specific thoughts and immediately destroying them. You are not getting rid of them, but rather separating from your thoughts, not to solve or change them. You may not become friends with this person or even like them, but in that space you've created, possibilities arise. Once you can see your judgments as a projection of you, you may be able to see this person in a different light. At a minimum, it certainly makes life more interesting. And just to repeat the differences between two descriptions that we but we mentioned sort of earlier, but they are definitely covered in the article and in the reference sources, which will lead on to the next section about Harry and Meghan and how to combat all of the things that we've just gone through with the people who have been dishing it out. Hopefully we've got some information in what I've gone through in the notes, and you can think of individuals or an individual who that applies to or potentially could apply to. We don't know. We don't know these people. But I certainly have my thoughts on a variety of people, but two in particular, possibly three, maybe four thinking about it, two couples, put it like that, that exhibit and have this kind of attitude towards people who they consider to be shining more than them. So that's the purpose of going through those headings and some explanations and some examples of what they mean and what they don't mean, and how and why it's coming from certain people, and to give you information about what is going on in their brain and in their body when they have these kind of emotions, toxic emotions against other people, but ultimately it will destroy the host. And as I said, we're going to come on to how you deal with and how you respond to people who tell you to dim your light. So, very quick roundup of the jealousy and envy side of things. Envy is wanting what someone else has. You might see a neighbour with a new car or a co-worker get a new job and desire the same. You might feel a sense of resentment towards the individual for attaining something you want but have yet to achieve. Jealousy is more about holding on to something you already have. You might experience jealousy in a relationship when you perceive a threat or worry that the relationship is changing in a negative way. While these emotions are easy to define and often easy to recognise, they can be difficult to control. And the final section, but it's a long section with a number of subsections within it, is headed Harry and Meghan, shine your light and let it shine brightly. And I've put in quotes, to shine your brightest light is to be who you truly are. And that is by Roy T. Bennett. All of this section is basically a summary, and a few pages in the article, and practically there are several slides, as you will discover in the podcast. If you've watched the video podcast, there are about 50 slides, and it's covering the work of Harry and Meghan since they moved away from that toxic environment, and in such a very short time going through, and this is a summary because there are lots of subheadings which we all know about projects and their successes, and it's all on the Archwell website anyway. You can see it is divided up into, if you like, sections, divisions, and within that there are a number of subheadings. And basically it was quite pleasing to see so many of the topics of things that we have discussed on this podcast, particularly in autumn of 2023, when we went through them one by one. And how I said, I picked up when I was doing the research for those doing the technology youth groups, 26 people who'd been awarded grants. In the research for them and going through each of those organisations, kept coming across names of people that I had researched previously in earlier weeks in yet another group. And I can remember saying to you all that the way that they were sort of sharing expertise and experience, but also learning from other groups and other team members, I said that to me mirrors the way Harry and Meghan work. And Archwell appeared to be going down that similar route. And I said, I have this feeling that a number of groups and individuals that they are working with or have helped in the past, donated in some way or given time, whatever the interaction has been, I just feel that it's like a community that's been built. I didn't know that. It was a feeling I had. And this that's now on the Archwell website is really, I wouldn't say proving it because I didn't know. It was there was just themes emerging from those young tech groups, and from that I just went and extrapolated out from that. That's the kind of model I can see Harry and Meghan working with. So these that I'm going to go through now, I said you'll find far more detail on the Archwell website, but it's to show how there is not really one area of activity that they have not been involved in, that they have not in a variety of ways pulled them together, and different groups are helping other people, if you like, under the Archwell banner. And I love that because it's like they're learning and sharing with one another, and together they are strong, very, very strong. And that to me is almost like how Harry and Meghan got together, each with so many accomplishments, so much potential to do more. That partnership, that marriage, made them a strong, as the royal family would say, bright light. Much brighter than even all of those royals put together. And they did not like that. And that's probably the most polite way I can describe their behaviour, but they didn't like that. They felt threatened by it. And I'm just saying, within the space of 4 years, it's like an Archwell community They're all separate entities, they're all doing various things, but on this, I will try to sort of quote some of the linkages, but really you do as well and much better to sit down a few times and just go through each of the sections, because there's like a heading for each section. Just put your mind to looking at that one section and you will come across other groups who've been helped or have done things. When you go to another big section, maybe weeks down the line, you will see some of the names again, and that's what I mean. They're all sort of either learning from one another or they are giving of their experience and knowledge. So this, Harry and Meghan, shine your light and let it shine brightly. Archwell programs. You will see this in their menu, and in programs it has got, I think it's 4 or 5 headings. I will go through each heading, and within that there are a multitude of other groups that we've come across over the years that they've been working and setting up Archwell. And I just felt it was like a community that's been built, that's already very, very strong, very influential, wide age range. I loved all the young tech groups, because I just see many of those, if not most of them, will be names of the future that we will look back and say, yeah, we first heard about them on Archwell's programs. Really, really very impressive just sounds an understatement. To me, it's very, very impressive, very strong, and I don't see any challenge, whether it be media, monarchy, or anybody else out there who's got nothing else better to do. Their hate for hire business model that they're all sort of working with. Once you sit down and go through this on the Archwell site, and you will recognise the groups because we've all been hearing about them over the last 4 or 5 years. Once you've seen that, and when you get to the end of it, you just, if you're like me, you'll feel it's almost like, as I said, it's a very, very strong, powerful, influential, competent community. So it's not about just Harry and Meghan's light. I look at, and I've described it somewhere on one of the slides, and it's probably in here in the article, and I couldn't go to all on this. I refer to beacons of light that are beacons across the globe. That's how I see it. It's like looking at all these different organisations, large and small, who over those 4 years have grown, and the stature of them and their experience and their skills and potential that they have. Archwell as a foundation with all of these entities is a very, very powerful global organisation already, in my eyes. I'm not a business person, and it's just, it was like, wow doesn't cover it, but it's that kind of thing at the end where you realise the potential that's there. So going back to those who tried to get them to dim their light, they're not even a grain in the sand compared to what's going on here and what the potential is. Harry and Meghan and all of these organisations that are with them, who they've helped and who are now growing and doing various things, all of them are streets and lanes way beyond all of these relics that are going around thinking that they're of importance to somebody somewhere. They may be, but they're not on the level. They really are not on the level of the Sussexes. None anywhere near. So, I can't say it enough, but I was truly impressed. Back to Archwell programs. The first one, not necessarily in any particular order, but as it appeared on the menu on the site, supporting parents. Supporting families in a purpose-driven movement for change to safeguard against online harms. From ongoing conversations, speaking with parents around the world, it is clear that social media and time online are affecting the mental health of teens and children everywhere. In response, the Archewell Foundation has created a first-of-its-kind support network for parents whose children and families have been impacted by online social media harm. This community is a place for parents to convene, to heal, and to help prevent future loss and harm from occurring to other families around the world by sharing their stories. It brings the concerns, lived experiences, and solutions to the forefront of public consciousness. Through our partnership with parents, we are building an empowerment, informed, and connected global community of families who support and uplift one another, while becoming a platform and catalyst to effect change towards a safer online world. The Welcome Project. Addressing the social isolation recently resettled women experience around the world and building more inclusive and connected communities. With a belief in the power of connection and a goal of uplifting communities, the Welcome Project supports the creation of programming for women who have recently resettled from Afghanistan. There are currently 11 active Welcome projects across the US, designed to foster a sense of belonging through activities including sewing, art, hiking, swimming, photography, storytelling, and cooking. By facilitating women-based programming, the Welcome Project also brings access to critical resources and opportunities that not only the women participating in the Welcome Project, but also improves the lives of those around them, their families, and their communities. The NAACP, supporting and uplifting unsung visionaries working to expand equity in the online world. 2022 winner. The inaugural award was given to Sophia Noble for her leadership and innovation in her approach to creating a digital ecosystem that contributes to a more inclusive and equitable society. Sophia is currently the Director of Centre on Race and Digital Justice and co-director of the Mindaroo Initiative on Tech and Power at the UCLA Centre for Critical Internet Inquiry. The 2023 winner was given to Nabaya Syed, Chief Executive Officer of The Markup, a non-profit newsroom that investigates how powerful institutions use technology to change our society. Their data-driven approach has produced reporting on topics including hidden racial bias in mortgage approval algorithms, the security of health information for vulnerable populations, and inequalities in internet access. I'm going to keep the section on responsible tech, Youth Power Fund, to a bare minimum in terms of this podcast and what I say. There'll be more in the article, but to be quite honest, for anyone that's joined us recently on Sussexes Global UK, we had a series of podcasts where we looked in detail at two of those organisations every week. So there is lots more.
Harm mitigation, to ensuring equitable access to the benefits of technology, to using technology as a platform to address some of the biggest challenges that this next generation is facing.
Congratulations, this is great, and we're so happy to have you as part of this team.
Really, thank you for all the work you're doing. It's huge. It's making an enormous impact.
It was like young people were empowered and emboldened to say things to me online that they would never say to me in person.
And so my vision was,
can we actually stop the cyberbullying at the source with the cyberbully via a behavioral approach that actually teaches young people to pause and rethink?
This is amazing. This is exactly why we do what we do. This is exactly why the Youth Power Fund was created.
You know, so many different opportunities have presented itself to really uplift our message and to continue our work to inform legislation and to create a safe online world for young people, for the next generation,
for your kids and so many other people that need to be protected,
and to have their digital rights maintained.
Social media was a major area that I think in many ways is a lot helpful to a lot of people, but at the same time creates huge harms for so many people, especially in terms of mental health.
I felt like I had to get involved because I think young people need to be heard
in order for politicians to take action on this issue.
I got involved in a legislative advocacy initiative in my home state of California here in the US, and I actually came across an investigation that found that there were algorithms being used in our legal system here in the US that are actually biased against Black defendants.
Thank you for doing everything that you do. Our kids especially are incredibly grateful.
They don't know it yet.
They don't know it yet.
But they will.
So good to talk to you.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Have a good
Take
one.
care. Bye.
Bye.
I need to log off, I need to step back. Constantly online, causing me setbacks too. Every day see so many people doing the things you do, and they're doing it better too. Whoa, whoa. Feels like, why should I even try when there's always some other guy who's way ahead of you, but makes it look easy. Why would they need me? Oh, I hear it now. I'm just being needy. I try not to envy you, to get angry you do it better than me. I try not to hate myself, to lose confidence, but you always do it better than me. I just wanna be loved like you. I just want them to see me too. Just wanna be the one they choose. Yeah, I just wanna be loved. That's really, really cool for you. Yeah, everything you do is cool. It's kind of unbelievable. It's also unachievable. Yeah, almost inconceivable. I'll never do it like you do. And I know I'll grow in a who's supposed to be. But self-doubt comes easy, and I've tried almost everything, but it just hasn't worked yet. I try not to envy you, to get angry you do it better than me. I try not to hate myself, to lose confidence, but you always do it better than me. I just wanna be loved like you. I just want them to see me too. Just wanna be the one they choose. Yeah, I just wanna be loved. Ooh, I hate comparison, cause it makes me feel lesser than striving for perfection, thinking somebody will see me then. No, don't get me wrong, really want everybody to succeed, but can we start with me? Like, why was it her and not me? Why was it her and not me? Wish someone could redesign me, to not have the style to find me. Why was it her and not me?